So when I did my video on the best villains in the series, I casually mentioned that the Social Revolution villain was probably the only villain archetype I don't like, and then everyone proceeded to fill my ear with reports that how a Social Revolution villain was coming in Season 5. Having now seen the episode, a while ago, I can easily state that that is not the case. It's very clear to anybody capable of reading subtext, which appears to only be me from the looks of it, that the ponies of Equals World are in fact brainwashed instead of being rallied up by a makeshift freedom fighter. I think a lot of that filling of my ear, however, comes from people not understanding what a Social Revolution villain actually is. Not surprising, actually, the internet not understanding what words mean is one of the biggest problems a content creator faces these days. A social revolution, or rather a freedom fighter, is a sort of villain that is not actively malicious or tyrannical, but rather enforces or tries to enforce a form of political or social ideology that is considered to be so unviable that its mere existence is outright destructive. The things they fight to support are infinitely worse than the things they're fighting against. To give an example, Zaire from The Legend of Korra is considered to be the series' resident badass largely because he suffocated the Earth Queen in the name of the people. However, upon killing the Earth Queen, he then proceeded to plunge the Earth Kingdom into a form of anarchy. While the Earth Queen was a harsh and often dictatorial ruler, the state he left the Earth Kingdom in was significantly worse. He took a bad government and replaced it with no government. This is not an improvement. I prefer my villains to not be so politically motivated because many writers have an extremely limited scope when it comes to political villainy. Think about the most frequent targets of this mindset. Autocracy probably gets it the worst, as damn near every villain is a dictator or a dictator waiting to happen. Communism comes in second because Americans still haven't absorbed the fact that the Soviet Union is gone and can't jump out of the closet going booga 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 anymore. Fact of the matter is that I simply don't trust writers with this. Politics is a heavy and complex subject and cannot be so simple-minded. No matter how much you might think the villain has a point, at the end of the day, they are still going to lose, and their ideology that their character has been centered around gets thrown into the wind. As much as I hate The Legend of Korra, and trust me, I hate this series, I will say that I was genuinely disappointed by its final season because for a while I thought they were going to handle this sort of idea better than they previously have. Its primary antagonist goes the entire season before any indication of malicious intentions start to arise, and she gets a lot of flack from others sneering at her and calling her an evil tyrant. This would have been the perfect chance to execute non-ideological pragmatism, i.e. authoritarianism being good when it's good and bad when it's bad, and that rebuilding an entire kingdom from the ground up, yeah, that comes with a lot of tough calls to make, and being a leader is not an easy job. The book was called Balance. I honestly thought that was what they were going for. Where and how do you strike a balance between the needs of the many versus the rights of the few? But no, they didn't. Asking the barest amount of critical thinking from the writers of this series was just asking too much. These were writers who, 3 times already, stapled some scary political words onto the faces of their tediously boring antagonists because that was all they were capable of. Autocracy bad, eagles good, naughty Kuvira. Now thankfully with My Little Pony they didn't go this route. Starlight Glimmer is a cult leader, and if you pay close attention she has some serious grudges against the concepts of special talents, so she's using the word equality as a cover for something more sinister, more petty, and more aggressive than she initially lets on. Have you ever heard someone use the phrase family values before? That may be a lot of things, but it's not the tiresome, poorly handled mess that is the Social Revolution villain. There have historically been 2 types of shows. Shows that center around the protagonist, and shows that center around the villain. My Little Pony has always been, and hopefully will always be, the former. I'd hate to see it become like The Legend of Korra, where our main heroes are some of the most boring slogs imaginable, and all the actual character ends up going to the people who you just wish would die. Ugh. Is it summer yet?